Formula 1 has rolled into Saudi Arabia and the Jeddah Corniche circuit for round 2 of the 2024 F1 season, with this being the fastest street circuit the drivers will experience this season, and that should suit both Red Bull and Ferrari. Expectations were high, as was the temperature throughout first practice, with the teams getting up to speed around the 3.8 mile circuit, but one man continued from where he left off in Bahrain last weekend, with Max Verstappen looking mighty around the medium high-speed circuit, lapping the circuit with a pace-setting time of 1 minute 29.6, with his teammate Sergio Perez following closely behind him in P3 by just a couple of tenths. The surprise of the session was undoubtedly Aston Martin in the hands of Fernando Alonso, which was the closest challenger to Red Bull and Verstappen, finishing in P2, less than 2 tenths behind the Verstappen pace-setting time. But his lap time was set 10 minutes later in the session out of everybody else who set their quickest times, so the drop in temperature would have played a helping hand in his lap. Stroll in comparison struggled to find any rhythm on the circuit, smashing the wall early on in the session on the front left, and finished in P9 some 8 tenths behind his teammate, with the team having to spend a considerable amount of time taking the front left tyre off. Mercedes are one of the teams to be on the lookout for in quali this weekend, with the team running the lowest configuration of rear wing this weekend, and it paid dividends for George Russell, who set a time of 1 minute 29.9 to finish up in P4. Hamilton, in much the same fashion as in the practice sessions in Bahrain last weekend, doesn't seem to be as comfortable as his teammate and finished down in P8, with a lot of time and positions to improve upon. Ferrari were doing Ferrari things in the first practice session, running slightly out of sync with the rest of the field, finishing in P4 and P5 with Leclerc and Sainz respectively. The team as usual were no doubt running an extremely detuned engine across both of their cars throughout the session, as they always do. But look out for them come quali when they turn their engines up to the max, and I wouldn't be surprised to find Leclerc on pole here. Lando Norris finished in P7 in his McLaren MCL 38. Again, some half a second adrift of the pace setting time, but is tightly bunched in a group of 6 cars that lap the circuit within a couple of tenths of each other. Piastri, on the other hand, endured a torrid time in the other McLaren, finishing all the way down in 15th, a considerable margin behind his teammate. There's a lot of work to do in between the sessions, looking at telemetry on how to match Norris's speed around this circuit. And to round this all up, we have the lone Williams of Alex Albon rounding out the top 10, a second behind that of the Red Bull RB20. The team will be hoping for a trouble-free weekend from their new steering system for this season after encountering issues throughout the Bahrain race with both of their drivers, most notably so with Logan Sargent, having his brake bias pushed all the way to the front without his input, causing him to drive straight off the track during the race. With FP2 in a couple of hours, we will finally get a true read on the pecking order in terms of the race pace and quali pace for each of the teams once the sun sets on the track and it arrives to the conditions that will be seen in qualifying and the race come Saturday.